Welcome to the Little Black Dress 10-day plan. Let's kickstart your weight loss and fat loss journey. So the first thing you need to do is just have a good old look through the whole plan. As you can see, the days repeat themselves. Day 1, day 3, day 2, day 4, and so it continues. And the reason why I do this is so that you can use all of the ingredients. So sometimes when you go out there and you buy loads and loads of different foods, the problem is you will get stuck with loads of things in the fridge that you cannot actually use before they go out of date. Sometimes you go in there and the spinach have gone off and everything has just gone off. So when you repeat your meals, you can at least use everything that you have purchased. You will also see that some of the actual meals on there has a cooking video next to it. Now the reason why I've done this is to show you how I would cook my food, because sometimes a lot of people will say, well, I don't know how to cook this, I don't know how to do that. Basically, what's the methods that you use? So those cooking videos should help you kind of just have a little bit more of an insight of how I would do things. And like I just mentioned, not all of the actual meals on there will have these cooking videos, so I've added on to a few so that you can see how I do it. Most of the meals are pretty easy to cook, but in this video I'll explain a little bit more in detail how I cook things and what I use for seasoning and also what I cook it in. Now this is the main rule on the plan. Only eat when you're hungry. The problem is most people just constantly eat because they say you eat more, you lose more. Now that doesn't work. If it did work, we would all look amazing by this time. So what you try and do is you wait and you wait and you wait until you are actually hungry. So what I would do is I would drink water, and then when I get to that point where I feel hungry, then I make sure that I have a proper meal. That's the most important thing. The food on this plan is nutrient dense. So when you eat it, you feel full and you feel satisfied. So you can go for hours again. So then all you do is you wait for the next meal and then you eat again. This is the most effective way of really losing body fat, because you give your body a chance to use its own fat for energy rather than constantly feeding it energy through different types of food. So do I need to eat all 3 meals? You can eat the 3 meals, you can eat 2 meals, or you can eat 1 meal. It depends on how hungry you are. My main thing that I would do is I would start with 3 meals and see how I get on. Sometimes after even a few days, people will say to me, well, I don't feel hungry anymore, I feel quite full. And then I go, great, that's really good. So now what you need to do is just maybe bring your meals down a little bit. Most people might be a little bit scared to do that because they're quite used to eating a lot of food. But the thing is, when you're eating good, like really nutrient-dense food, the thing that will happen is because you're feeling full and your body's feeling satisfied, you will all of a sudden realize that you can actually eat a lot less and you can go for a lot longer before you have to have your next meal. So what about snacking in between meals? Now, when you're eating proper meals, when you're eating nutrient-dense food, you do not need to snack, because the thing is, you will feel full. So you don't need to constantly eat to keep yourself full. What you need to do is eat your meal, drink your water, have a little bit of coffee, a little bit of tea, whatever you want, and just keep on going as long as you can until the next meal. You'll feel much, much better for it, and also you'll have plenty of energy to come along. So what I would do if I really need something in between, then I'll normally snack on maybe Brazil nuts, walnuts, or almonds. Those are the 3 things that I'll choose, or sometimes maybe just a bit of cheese. Coffee also work. Have a cup of coffee and then off you go again. Now, the more you snack, the more you're going to drive that hunger and the craving. So that's very, very important to make sure that you eat proper food every single time. If you go for something like the Greek yogurt, yeah, that's okay, but it's not as powerful as like having the full English kind of meal, or basically having your meat and veg, or chicken and veg, or fish and veg. So what I would say is always make sure that you have the kind of better option of food. So everything on the plan, it's all good, everything's fine, but there are some foods that's just that little bit more powerful. For instance, having your real meats and your chicken and your fish and things like that with your vegetables. That will instantly bring down your cravings and your hunger. You'll feel much, much better, and you can go for a lot longer before you need to eat again. Do I need to stick to the plan as laid out? Now you can, if you want to, you can stick to the meals exactly as laid out, because you should be able to use most of the ingredients. But what I would do, this is my personal thing, I'd look at that meal plan and go, right, I like, for instance, the tuna and the mackerel meal on the sourdough. Right, I'm going to have that every single day. Same as what people do with cereal. They eat it every single day without fail. They repeat, repeat, repeat. When it comes to food, proper real food, you can do exactly the same thing. There's nothing stated that you have to change up your food all the time, but variety is good. To have a bit of variety every now and again does change up things because you might get a bit bored. But if I like a specific meal, I might just have that every single day. If I like meal 2, but I don't like meal 1, you can swap them around. If I don't like broccoli, but I like cauliflower, then I bring in cauliflower. You can swap ingredients around. You can swap meals around. You can repeat days over and over and over again if you want to. You can basically tailor this meal plan to suit your personal liking. As you can see, it says meal 1, meal 2, and meal 3. Right? I don't refer to things as breakfast, lunch, and dinner because food is food. You can eat any food whenever you want. If I want a steak and sweet potato for my first meal for the day, I'm going to have it. Most people aren't hungry anyway, so they will go till about 11 o'clock during the day and then they'll have their first meal. So call it breakfast if you want, doesn't matter, but you can have any meal at that time. The only thing that I would say as a little bit of a tip is just don't eat too late in the evening. If somebody works shifts and things like that, of course, that's fine. But I wouldn't go too long before I actually eat in the evening. The reason for that is because your body's going into rest mode and you don't really want to feed it then. But again, if you eat the real good meals during the day, you'll be absolutely fine in the evenings. So the cooking methods. Now I use unsalted butter or coconut oil in a frying pan. That's how I cook most of my meals. Everything in there on a medium heat. If it's on a high heat, you always have to stand there and you're going to end up burning all of your food. So just a medium heat works perfectly fine. Now I prefer unsalted butter because I can put in my own sea salt or Himalayan salt. The refined stuff, that fine salt, that's not very healthy. So Himalayan salt, sea salt, perfect. I use Malden sea salt. It works absolutely fine. So when I cook in unsalted butter. I do not like the flavor of coconut oil. It makes my food taste of coconut, and that is not something that I enjoy. So unsalted butter works best for me. Olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. I pour that over salads or I pour it over something that I'm going to cook in an oven dish that goes into the oven. There's many studies that show that it's not that good to cook in olive oil all the time in a pan because the heat goes up too high and it's not very good for us. But if you cook it on a medium heat, it should be absolutely fine. But I prefer unsalted butter. It gives the best flavor to food. Now, how do you make your food not be dry? How do you make it flavorful? Well, first of all, unsalted butter, it makes everything juicy. It makes it really nice. As you can see in the videos where I cook as well, you'll see how I do things and how much butter I put in there. That's why my food has so much flavor. And it's got a bit of juice as well. Sometimes if you want a bit of sauce, add in a tiny bit of water. But always taste your food. This is the biggest thing that people don't do, is taste your food. Whenever you cook, just why not cut off a piece of meat and try it and go, yeah, that tastes good. That's cooked. That's fine. There's nothing that says that you're not allowed to do that. So taste your food. Seasoning. Don't buy the mixed spice mix and things like that. Buy, for instance, your herbs, where you have basil, parsley, and they're all in their separate things. Do it like that because then you know it's much more natural. A lot of these things that are pre-mixed also have a lot of sugar in them, so you have to be very careful. Everything natural. Stick to the natural stuff. Season your food. You're going to cook a steak, thyme, rosemary, garlic, butter. Boom. Perfect. Tastes great. You're going to do some fish. You go basil, bit of parsley, lemon juice over the top, stuff like that. Cook it in the butter. Beautiful. Same with the vegetables. Whenever I do asparagus, broccoli, even mushrooms, lemon juice over the top, fry it in that. I first fry it until it goes brown. Bit of lemon juice over the top. Lovely flavor. It's all about seasoning your stuff, and that will create that amazing taste where you go, yes, this is good. This is what I like, and this is what I enjoy. And with that comes a much leaner body. Portion sizes. Now, we work by handfuls. We don't count calories. We don't do point systems, and we do not weigh our food. Thank you very much. That's not natural. That's not a natural way of living. And I never ever want to sit in a restaurant and go, please, can you weigh my food for me? Or please, can you check how many calories is in that? No. I want to enjoy myself. Handfuls. That's a handful. Handful of protein and fat is your meat, your chicken, your fish, your eggs and things like that. That's your proteins and your fats. That's your handful. Small handful is like that. So you measure it by your own handful. If you want to go a little bit more, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to stick to it exactly like that. But a lot of people go like, that is the handful on the meats and stuff. That's the handful on the vegetables and everything else. And it's this massive plate of food. We don't need to eat that much, especially if we've cooked it properly and it's nutrient dense. So that's the handful. That's the small handful. For instance, anything that's sweet where you go with a small handful, much better option. What to drink. Now, this is the most common question that I get. So, what do I drink? I don't really like water. Now, water's always going to be best. Okay, it's always going to be best. If I like a bit of I like sparkling stuff. Okay, so maybe a bit of sparkling water, lemon juice in there as well. Is it the same as having some really nice sugary fizzy drink? No, it's not. But it's okay. Sometimes it takes away that kind of craving that I have for a fizzy drink. Then I have it, it's okay. I normally drink water, it works the best. I like coffee and I drink double cream in my coffee, full fat milk, not semi-skimmed or skimmed milk. So I stick to the double cream and the full fat milk and things like that. And of course in tea, which I don't drink, people normally go for the mint green teas or just a plain green tea and stuff like that. That's absolutely fine. But they would normally have full fat milk in there as well. Now, there's loads of different flavors of teas and things like that. Can I have this and can I have that? Be very, very careful. The more they put into something, the less it's good for us. Always think about it that way. The more processed the product is not that great for us. So stick to water as much as you can, especially on 10 days. Stick to it as much as you can. You'll soon feel really, really good, feel less bloated, body will function much, much better. And also drinking so much coffee and tea isn't that great for us. So I would say, personally, I wouldn't go more than 2 or 3 cups of caffeine a day. Even if it's decaffeinated, maximum 2 or 3, because the more fluid you take in, it ends up just sitting in your stomach at the end of the day. And remember, we are all human beings. So sometimes you might crave something. If you have it, you have it. Just kind of move on from it again. But just don't keep on doing it consistently, because the more consistently you have things that aren't that good for you, the more you're going to struggle. So I steer clear from low-fat products. So yes, a lot of your vegetables, of course, that's all low-fat. But low-fat this and low-fat that in the shop, I do not buy any of it. Everything that I purchase and the people on my plan, everything that they use is good quality fatty food. So they will go to the butcher, they go to a local farm shop, so we buy the best produce possible. We try not to go to the supermarkets as much because, yeah, it's not always that great. So we buy good quality healthy fat. So if I buy a steak, it's a good quality steak, I will eat the fat off it. I'll eat the chicken skin and everything else. The reason why we eat good healthy fat is so that we feel full. Fat keeps you full, keeps your cravings down and your hunger down as well. The less fat we eat, the more hungry we become. That's why the low-fat diets and things like that, people have to constantly eat and eat and eat because they're just hungry all of the time. So coming back to the milk and things like that, so skim milk, semi-skim, yeah, everything's higher in sugar. That's why I use double cream in my coffee. That's why I use full-fat milk. If you don't like any of those things as well, you can use unsweetened almond milk. I do not use any of the oat milk and things like that. I steer well clear from all of them. So yeah, make sure you support the local people. Like I say, go to your local butcher, go to your local farm shop, support them. Normally they have better produce and it's good for the community as well. Exercise. Now, everyone thinks that you need to exercise all the time in order to lose fat. No. Number one, food. Your food intake is the most important thing. If you eat well, you will get good results. If you eat bad, you can train all day long and you're never ever going to make that change to your shape. You're not going to burn the body fat. Yes, you might get stronger. Yes, you might get a bit fitter, but the shape change will not happen. There's many people in gyms all day long, train all the time. They never look any different. The reason is because the sugar intake is so high, the carbohydrate intake is just as high. So there's constant pastas and breads. Although there's a bit of bread on the plan, yes, try not to overdo it on it. Sourdough is the better option. But a lot of people just constantly eat these things, rice and all these starchy things like white potato, and then they end up struggling. So the main thing about this plan is I bring down the sugar intake, and that's why people feel better and they function better, higher energy levels, and they start losing fat a lot faster. But if you want to exercise, that's absolutely fine. I believe that you should exercise. I think it's very good for us, and it has been proven to be very good for us as well, and especially for our mental state of mind as well. Get out there, whatever you need to do, walk, run, jog, swim, weights, anything that you need to do that will help you stay active. But do it at your pace, do whatever you want to do, that's fine. If you've got a trainer, train with a trainer. If you go to a gym, train in a gym. At the bottom of this document, you will also see there's some exercises. If you want to try them out, feel free to go for them. And then there's another bit at just above the exercise bit, which is extra recipes. So there's some treats in there. Now, they are extra things. You can add it in if you want to in the 10 days, but I would kind of steer clear from them until I finish the 10 days, and then I'll try them out. They're a little bit of an extra. There's 2 really good meals on there. That's absolutely fine. But it was a little bit of an extra kind of treat that we threw in there that people can try out. Again, on there, you can also have a look at how I cook my meals. And it just gives you a little bit more in-depth detail of how to cook. A lot of people know how to cook, but some people really don't know. So hopefully those videos will help you out. And just coming back to one of the most important things to remember. Like I said, we are all human beings. We make mistakes. We sometimes have cravings and we will eat the whole fridge. We sometimes just feel like we're out of control. We just need everything and anything. If you get to a day where you just feel like the day's too much, you just can't stick to it, you need something bad. Sometimes what I do is I just have it to get it over and done with, and then you move on from it. There's no reason to stress about food or to make yourself feel anxious about it. It's just food. But the moment we start sitting there thinking, oh, now I've messed it up. I've been good for 5 days. I've been good for 7 days. Now I've completely destroyed it. That's no good. Just move on from it. Have it, enjoy it for whatever it is, and then just go again. But when you're eating really good food and you commit to it, and you're drinking your water and maybe a bit of coffee and a bit of tea, you'll feel great. And that's normally when your mindset goes, actually, I don't want this stuff. And that's a good thing once you get to that point. But yes, it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a bit of time and you've got to work on it. Remember, people that commit to something, they will always get there. Yes, it's never going to be a perfect road. It's never going to be easy, but you will get there. So the ride is like that. But eventually, you climb and you climb and you climb until you get there. But if you have a bad day, move on from it and you'll be absolutely fine. So enjoy every biteful on this meal plan. Enjoy the process of becoming fitter and healthier. This is your kickstart plan. This is what we do. We help people get on the right track, and then afterwards, hopefully you can continue and you can keep on going. If you need any information about afterwards, what can you do? Of course, there's many, many more plans that we do on the HeyJQ plan, so you're more than welcome to inquire about them as well. But enjoy this plan. It's a good plan. It's a really good quality plan with lots of different meals on it that you can, like I say, you can swap them around, you can repeat them and things like that, and you can do your exercise as well. So all the best with it, enjoy it, and I'm sure you'll get great results.